Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Where'd my pirates go? Hey, kia ora, Helen Brown, taking your life from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. I'm just trying to find. I thought I had one done up for the pirates, but I don't. I thought I had a little ticker tape set up for the pirates, but I don't. Oops. I guess we should take care of that at some point. Oh, that's not the right one. Anyway, so welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1425, treasure hunting. Now, you can find treasure in different places. So you're probably going, what are you talking about treasure hunting? Well, since I've had a lot of stuff in storage for the last 4 years, some of it has even been in storage for a lot longer than that, since we left Virginia, which was in 2010. Opening things is becoming like a treasure hunt. So I'm calling it a treasure hunt. And I found some really cool stuff so far. Yesterday I did a Facebook Live on my birthday card scrapbook, along with the box that had the cards of my baby cards in there. What else have I found? I found photographs of Brad dressed in his Planet of the Apes costume. So every time I open a new box, it's like, ooh, what's in here? And then I'm finding like all these journals, and I've got a lot of empty journals, and then I've got a lot of partially used journals, 3-quarter used journals, fully used journals. So it's kind of interesting. And then you kind of stop and you start reading what you've written, and I'm like, ooh, I forgot about that. Yes, well, some of them, but it's just interesting that when you go. And so I'm calling my unpacking from moving as a treasure hunt. Some treasures are broken because we've had a pie dish break, had a glass bowl that broke, and I don't even remember where I got that glass bowl from, and then had my Pampered Chef baking sheets break. And one of them was very well seasoned, very well loved, very well used, and very well seasoned. And somehow I ended up with a new one, and I'm not sure where that came from. I don't know if somebody gifted it to me or what, but that broke as well. So today I ordered replacement, just one replacement baking sheet, and also got a cool little silicone thing that I can use in the air fryer or in the pressure cooker and stuff to create like egg bites. So that'll be really cool. And because then I can make them, freeze them, and pull them out as needed. And my skin is so dry lately. I've been putting so much lotion and stuff and oils and things on my skin, and it's still, my hands feel all rough and ick. I need to do like a soak and a scrub on them and make them feel better and soften. But anyway, so going through treasure hunts, and then, but it's not just opening boxes and finding treasures inside. There's treasures everywhere. Like when you're looking at your genealogy and things, and you can find treasures amongst that as well. Like I was talking with one of my clients today, and I haven't looked at her tree for a while, so I was having to refresh myself and going back in and remembering, oh my gosh, I so loved working on this tree because I found out this, because the information that I found out and the stories and everything else. And I have to do the recording on her tree now to say, hey, here's your tree, and these are the fun stories that we have found, or the information that we found along the way. Here's the clippings that back it all up, and the documentation that backs it up. So take them for a journey through the tree. And she said she was trying to remember some of the stories and stuff, but she couldn't quite remember them all. I says, we'll get that taken care of. So we'll definitely get that taken care of for her, so that she can remember the stories and has the stories to tell. So, and maybe we might be able to find some different stories to tell her before the next time I talk to her. So finding treasures in trees, and then getting reports to say, hey, we've updated your DNA reports. And I'm like, awesome. Now I have my DNA in 3 different places. I've done, I first did 23andMe. Then I did Ancestry.com because I wanted to compare the two, and they were pretty much about the same for a while. I just looked at my Ancestry DNA because my 23andMe sent me a note saying, hey, there's been a change in, we've got new reports. And so I went and looked at the ethnicity thing. And the more samples they get, the more accurate they can be with their ethnicity. And so I was looking at the ethnicity and go, Scotland's not on there. They had 23andMe had completely wiped out my Scottish background. I'm like, they only had English and Irish, and I was like, oh, I don't know Scottish, but Norway was on there, and Norway and the Vikings from Norway were the ones that basically colonized Scotland. So I thought, okay, we still got the Scottish part in there. It's just in there as the Norwegian part. Okay, we got that fine. So I go over to Ancestry to check mine there. They've got English, Irish, Scottish, and I'm like, they have Scottish on there, but they didn't have Norway on there. But they did have Sweden and Denmark, which is what the other one had as well. So got some Swedish and Danish in me somewhere along the way. What else did they have in there? Yeah, they had England, definitely Devon and Cornwall area, which is that little peninsula at the bottom of England. I have a lot from Cornwall there. Then there was Ireland. Yeah, England made up 61%. Then there was Ireland at 15%, Scotland at 12%, Sweden and Denmark at 4%, Wales at 4%. Germanic Europe was 3%, and Basque was 1%. And Basque is this little area between Spain and France. So yeah, that was the latest Ancestry DNA. I was like, that is interesting. But the 23andMe had completely removed Scotland out of there and had Norway and Sweden and Denmark in there. And actually, it just had Scandinavian in there. And they said there wasn't enough of something to be able to. There wasn't enough of something where they could target what Scandinavian countries I had in me. So that was kind of interesting. So now they're kind of starting to get a little different in places. And I should go check out Family Tree DNA and see what that one says as well, because that might be even different yet again. But the cool one I like about Family, yeah. So I've got 23andMe, which does health and has been approved by the FDA to actually do DNA testing for health. They got something from to say that, yep, they're certified to do all of that. And then I went Ancestry, and then later on I did Family Tree DNA. And the reason I did Family Tree DNA is because it goes deeper than 23andMe and Ancestry, because Family Tree DNA does not only your autosomal DNA, which is the one that gives you your origins, your ethnicities, and that sort of thing, but it also does your mitochondrial DNA, which is the DNA that is passed from mother to child. It doesn't matter if it's male or female, it's passed from mother to child, and you can trace back the maternal lines. It cannot be passed from father to son. It can only be passed from mother to child. And the men can't pass it on to their kids. And then it also does the Y DNA, which is male only, and you can trace that back, the migration routes for that back. So it's kind of interesting to see that. And you can trace it all back to Eve, the Eve of your haplogroup. And that gets into all sorts of things and everything else. Like my haplogroup is somewhere on the border of Kenya and Ethiopia. And then it shows how over thousands and thousands of years that it's migrated and everything else. So it's actually kind of cool. That's where my Eve was. But I haven't looked at the origins. I think that's the one. But yeah, so it goes into a little different on this. Now see, the Family Tree DNA has me with 72% England, Wales, and Scotland, 14% Ireland, and 8% Scandinavian. And it also has me 5% Iberian Peninsula, which is in Spain, and less than 2% of the Italian Peninsula. I'm like, wait. This has, and it doesn't have any of the Germanic European in there, or yeah. So it's very interesting to see how the different ones are. How the different ones are done over the years and how they've changed and things like that. So it's kind of interesting just to see how that's, and they've lumped England, Wales, and Scotland into one, whereas the other one they had them separated out. And but yeah, 72% between England, Wales, and Scotland, but 14% Irish. That'll be more whether, because my mum was always so like, "Where did your red headlights come from?" I says, "I don't know," but now I do, because I have Scottish and Irish in me, which are both very strong in the redhead area. So it makes it very interesting. But the cool part about treasure hunting and family trees and stuff is coming across interesting stories and adventures and finding and learning things about your ancestors that you didn't know. And familysearch.org, which is done out of the main library, the Family Search Library up in Salt Lake City there, they have this really cool tool that's a relationship tool. And whenever you put any information into the collective family tree, you're given a code. Everybody's name has a code, and you can take that code and you can plug it in into the relationship finder, and it tells you all these people that you're related to. But you do have to be careful, because it's not gospel. It's not absolute, because it's based on information that's been plugged into the system, and they're tracing the trees and matching up trees and things like that. But they have all the trees of all these famous people and everything in there, from entertainment world, the sporting world, presidents, first presidents, European royalty, authors, all sorts of people, astronauts, sports players, all sorts of different categories and stuff, and tells you who you're related to. And I've been having a lot of fun with that one. But I don't say that, well, I'm actually related to da 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 da. No, there is a possibility. So whenever I look at there is a possibility that I could be related to this person. And because it's put this match in there. So what I then have to do is go back and, starting on my side, work my way up to see if I can match up with the common ancestor before I start working my way down onto their tree and stuff. But usually with celebrities, most of their stuff's in there anyway and has been verified by all these people and everything else. But whenever I get given a tree, one of the first things I want to do is I want to go in there and verify the information that's there. Do they have the right person of that name? Do they have the right John Smith, or could it be the John Smith that lived 3 doors down that was actually the great grandfather? Just questions like that. So verifying the information, and you come up with a lot of really cool stories this way. And so you can find lots of treasures in your family tree when you start searching. And there is always a caution put out there, especially if DNA testing is involved, is that you have to be prepared for surprises. And I have heard stories of surprises with DNA when they found out that their birth father wasn't their birth father. Their father was not their birth father. It was somebody else. But they didn't know who, and their mother had passed, so they couldn't find out that information. So I said, well, actually, we can. We have a clue. And they go, what's that? I said, it's your DNA. And because if they've done it on family tree DNA, they've got the Y DNA, which is only passed from father to son. Father to son. It's never passed to the daughter. And you can go back thousands of years, and there's very little change to that string, because that string of Y DNA never gets matched up with anything else, never does any interaction with any of the other chromosomes in there, except it's just the Y DNA, and it's passed from father to son. And I've told them, I says, if you're looking for your birth father, find somebody, find a close relative of yours. And there's different ways that you can go around it and things like that too. So I says, just put your DNA out there and see what matches come back. And, if you're on Ancestry, you can put stuff out there and see who's related to you that way. But of course, it's only on the autosomal. And autosomal is you have your strand of 46 chromosomes, 46 chromosomes, 23 from mum, 23 from dad. And when ovulation occurs, the chromosomes double in number within the mother. So she goes from 46 to 96. And then the strands do all this mingling and mixing and things like that, which is why if you have siblings, they can't go off your DNA records. You have to each do your own DNA records, because your younger brother may be related to these cousins over here, and you may not have any DNA connection to them, even though you are related to them. Because of the way the chromosomes mix up, it could be that it doesn't show that connection by DNA, but we can prove it through genealogy. So DNA shows how you are, shows who you are blood related to. So yeah, DNA shows who you're blood related to, but genealogy shows you how you're related to that person. So you can find treasures that way too. Like if you're looking for family members, there's a way that you can use DNA to do that. I am not an expert in genetic and genealogical DNA. I am only just learning. I am only just scratching the surface. In my genealogical principles thing that I did last year, the 7-week hard class. Well, not hard, but just a lot of work. We had the last week was on DNA. It was a DNA beginners class, and they actually crammed a 2-week class, a class that was normally 2 weeks, into a 1-week time spell. It was fascinating. It was interesting to see how DNA can play things. But one of the things that they were very, very specific on is that when you're dealing with DNA, you have to be prepared for surprises. And if you're working with a client and you ask them to go do their DNA results and testing, you have to say, there may be things that come up that you're going to question. There may be things that come up that will shock you. You have to prepare them for that, because DNA is not a hard and fast science. It doesn't say, boom, that is your father. Well, kind of sort of does. Because so but what is interesting is the mitochondrial DNA is the DNA testing that they do when they find remains, because the mitochondrial DNA, like the Y DNA, doesn't change, but the mitochondrial DNA is passed from mother to child. It doesn't matter if it's male or female, it's passed from mother to child. You can also do the X chromosome testing, which is done with the mitochondrial one, and that's the one that is, there's a complete X DNA and a complete mitochondrial DNA that's passed to each child, whether it's male or female. It is the males that have the deciding chromosome. They have the Y, the X, and the Y chromosome, and one of those gets passed along. So that determines whether you're going to be male or female. So it's kind of interesting. It's a treasure hunt. It's a treasure. Everything. Whenever you go researching for anything, you're treasure hunting. So you can always make games out of it, because if you've got to find research, or you've got to unpack boxes, like if you're moving and you're unpacking boxes, make a game out of it. What treasures can you find in there? Like I'm finding photographs, I'm finding journals I haven't seen in years. I'm reading through some, like I showed you a couple of my journals yesterday. One was a trip to New Zealand in 2006 that we did. The other one was a very worn journal that was done with a lot of notes and everything. And when I was flipping through it last night afterwards, I belonged to a BNI chapter in San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles there. And in there, and I just came across pages of written out commercials. My ask every week for BNI was always written out, and it was in that book. And I found another journal that when I moved to San Diego and I joined the BNI chapter there, I found another journal that had all of my weekly, not only did it have my weekly 30-second in there, it also had what other people were asking for as well. So I'd learned a bit from my time in LA to go when I moved to San Diego. So it's kind of interesting going back and reading through that and going, oh, I don't remember that. Oh yeah, no, I remember that person. And, making those mental connections with people that you haven't seen in a long time as well. But you can find all sorts of things when you're treasure hunting. Like I came across a batch of photographs and I need to get them scanned in, because I've talked about the picture of Brad dressed up to go to the opening of Star Wars as him and his mates being as Planet of the Apes characters in complete makeup and costume. And I found some of the photographs from the day they did the makeup, which is kind of cool. From the day that they did the makeup and things. So I found some of those photos, but I know there's more in there. So I have to dig deeper into that box to see if I can find the rest of them. But I found some of them, and I'm actually going to scan them so I can upload them. And so you get to see some of the fun that they had actually applying the ape masks and everything as well. So, but go on a treasure hunt. When was the last time you cleaned out a closet or cleaned out a dresser drawers, or have a room that kind of is a little junky? Or have an office that's kind of overflowing. I've been opening up boxes and thinking, I'm not going to need any office supplies for like the next 10 or 20 years. I have so many pens and highlighters and post-it notes and empty journals and empty notebooks and envelopes and file folders. And I'm like, I am, just about anything that I need for my office, I was finding surplus supplies for some. And the biggest treasure hunt is I found the key for the filing cabinet. I pulled out a key ring yesterday and I was like, let me just give one try through these key rings. And something prompted me to give one more try through the key rings. And so I put this one odd shaped key in there and it turned. So I haven't had it. I've just kind of opened and closed the drawers to make sure I get them. One of them was a little tough to get open, but then that filing cabinet was kind of like wrapped up and bumped around and everything else. So I'm not sure if it's right on track or anything else, but at some point I will have to turn the cabinet like 90 degrees because the lower two drawers almost hits the stuff that's on the wall down there for the internet connection coming in. So I might end up having to turn it 90 degrees so I can get full access to the drawers. But I got some boxes in the way to get rid of first. But I can't wait to get in there and see what treasures I can find in there. I found some of my magnets. Because one side of my filing cabinet I had covered in magnets, and across the top were magnets of every cruise ship I had been on, with the exception of the Allegro, because that one there, they didn't have any fridge magnets for that river cruise ship. And I haven't found all my ship magnets yet. I've only got one. So they're around somewhere. But finding those ones, and I thought, man, I got a lot when I was in Alaska, because I've done 2 trips to Alaska. So I got a lot of magnets there. And eagles, I got a totem. See what else I got. Welcome to Alaska. Oh no, that's welcome to Vegas sign. That's a Vegas one. But yeah, finding lots of different. Got a couple of eagle ones up there, and so just finding some really cool magnets, and can't wait to find the rest of them because I know there's some there from my European river cruise that I haven't found yet either, because I collect. So what do you when you go on vacations and stuff? What is something that you always bring back? My mum had this old printer's drawer, and it had various size openings in it. And she had in her notebook the layout of the printer's drawer, along with the measurements for each opening in that drawer. So when she went looking for something on it, she had this little tape measure that was like about a 3-foot tape measure. She had this little tape measure, so she could stand there and actually measure the item to go in there. She knew the depth of it. She knew the width and the height of every opening. It was in this little notebook. So when she went looking for little knickknacks from the trips and stuff, she would go into her little notebook, pull out her tape measure, and go, oh, that's really cool. Would that fit? So she's got some really cool little mementos from trips that she's done. For me, magnet and a postcard or 2. I love fridge magnets. I think they're great. There's something I can just stick on filing cabinets. And I have a stainless steel refrigerator, and I can put magnets on it. So okay, usually stainless steel, you can't put magnets on the front, but this one, absolutely. Found this really cool magnet that I should have brought it in here, that my mum gave me on one of the trips. We were all at the airport in Auckland to see me off see Brad and I off back to the US, and my mum gave me this package and told me not to open it till I got through security. And of course, this was 2002, so it was just after all the 9/11 stuff that had happened and the extra security and everything else that was going on. And I was sort of like, okay, going through the questions of, does it have any of this? And she's like, no. And she was getting really frustrated and with the questions. I'm like, I'm sorry, but we're going to go through security, and if they pull it out, I don't know what's in it. And she goes, it's a magnet. I went, okay. I said, fine. But it was this beautiful magnet. It was square, and it had these flowers around the edge of it. And it says on the something about, you will always be my daughter, but now you're my friend too, or something like that on it. And I found that magnet the other day, and I'd totally forgotten about it. And I saw that, and I was like, the emotions come up. But what treasures can you uncover in your own home? What things have you not seen for a while, or what areas of your house have you not been into for a while? Or what's been pushed to the back of that closet over there in that room? What's hiding in its depths, or even up on the shelves that you haven't been? What's up in the attic? Oh my gosh, I hear so many stories about homes in America where they go in and like old farmhouses and things, or these old historic homes, homes that were built in like the 1800s, that people purchase the homes. They go in and they're up in the attic, and there's stuff there from like other families that have lived there, um, from generations ago, things that people have never thrown out of the house or gone through or anything like that. And I'm like, how can you live in a house with somebody else's stuff sitting in the attic when you've gone up there and put your own stuff in the attic? So what treasures can you find up there? And there used to be a program that was called something like If These Walls Could Talk, I think it was. And it was about people that moved into these old homes, that were built in the 1800s, early 1900s, late 1800s. And they were doing some renovations or something, or they're up in the attic, or they went into a room and it's like, what's it? Well, they rip off this wallpaper and there's this stuff underneath. It was just fascinating, the stuff that people were finding in their homes. And like somebody found like this whole photo album from this family, and they managed to track down the family and return the photo album to them. I thought, I'm in on that one. If somebody left something behind in the house, I would be like tracking it down, especially if it's old stuff, like old photographs and stuff. Can't imagine throwing photographs away. They're the picture stories. The picture books you used to have. That's what a photo album is. Picture book full of stories. So anyway, what treasures do you have hiding away? Go treasure hunting. It could be that you find something that might trigger something for your genealogy research. It could be, bringing back memories and wanting to tell the family about it. It could be some lost heirloom that's been, everybody thought it had gone and now you've suddenly found it. So, what treasures do you have hiding away in your house? So that's it from me for tonight. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. I don't think I will be back here at 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow evening. So go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konara.